Having to work on Christmas Day is something that most people would deeply resent. Being prevented from being with their families on that one day, perhaps the day of most cultural significance to us as Tasmanians, to us as Australians. So my point of view, which I've put in my own party room and in this House today, is that penalty rates as applicable on a public holiday are the appropriate pay rates that a person should be paid if they work on a Christmas Day, whatever day of the week upon which it falls. Mr Speaker, the last matter I'd like to address today is Anzac Day. The government have raised this matter again. I do recall the debate in last year when the Bartlett Labor government did introduce a bill to change the law to introduce a new public holiday. Wherever Anzac Day happened in a calendar year, when Anzac Day happened to fall on a weekend, whether it was a Saturday or a Sunday. And the ministers today made the comment that this amendment somehow honours the Labor government's commitment made at the Council for the Australian Federation meeting in September 2008. And I'd say to him, so what? Honouring a commitment made at a meeting of the Council for the Australian Federation. A Labor government makes a commitment to a meeting of Labor leaders, a meeting of zero legislative status, set up in some parallel process to the COAG process, probably to advance agenda items that couldn't be agreed upon at COAG. And as I recall, could be wrong here, but recall this federation, so-called, was set up at a time of the Howard Federal Liberal government and when every state and territory in Australia was led by a Labor Premier or Chief Minister. So I want to crystallise my thoughts on Anzac Day by just making these points. Anzac Day is not, as I have heard it said already, it is not a day of celebration. It is a day by many people, used by many people to get together, indeed with their families and loved ones, their friends and family, or their local, or their friends and colleagues from the services. But unlike Christmas Day, for example, getting together with family is absolutely not its primary purpose. Anzac Day, contrary to being described as a day of celebration, is a day of commemoration, and the distinction is important. It's a commemoration of the sacrifice of the many, many brave men and women who have served this country in times of conflict over the last 110 years. And we do want to encourage attendance at Anzac Day, dawn services, 11 o'clock services and the other services that occur during the day by ensuring, absolutely in legislation, that a public holiday should always be honoured for working people where it is needed. And that's the point. We need to preserve Anzac Day as a holiday, as a day to allow people to commemorate the sacrifice made by our diggers where it is needed. And the days, Mr Speaker, that it's needed are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. Saturday and Sunday are already days off for most working people. The idea that somehow if Anzac Day falls, as it will, 2 years out of 7, the idea that people should be compensated because Anzac Day fell on a Saturday or Sunday, I must say I find quite disturbing. The notion that we're a little unlucky this year because Anzac Day was on Saturday, we lost our Saturday. I need another day off on Monday, thanks very much. And that's where this particular agenda item is coming from this government. It is the reason why the other place, the Legislative Council, chucked it out last year, and it's the reason why the Liberal Party has changed its view on considering these matters. Recognising the service of our Australian men and women, many of whom were not able to return to their home, is an honour for each one of us still living. And I do not, and neither do any of my constituents, 71,000 voters in Bass, neither do they want or need to be compensated with an extra day off because, unfortunately, in a particular year, Anzac Day fell on a weekend. And so that's my challenge to the Minister in his summing up. I know that his party won't change their view on it, that's fine, but that's my challenge to the Minister, is to respond to that statement. By making it a long weekend, which is what the Labor Party wants to do, you devalue that day, you devalue Anzac Day, you will create a long weekend, people will pack up the car and they will go away for 3 days.
That is wrong.
Some people will do that.
Well,
people will tend to go away. You would contribute to a reduction in audiences and attendances at Anzac Day services by creating a long weekend. And to say that in justification for your position, which is a gesture to the unions, to say that it is not opposed by the RSL, I find a very weak statement, a very weak argument indeed. That is no vote of confidence from the RSL, and the members that I have spoken to, and some of the upper house members I have spoken to, the feedback has been, if not at the institutional level, at the community level from the services, has been some great suspicion at what would be occurring here. We preserve Anzac Day as a holiday where it is needed, and let's always make sure that people are free and able, to the greatest extent possible, to go to a service and to commemorate the service of our brave Australian men and women, servicemen and women. This parliament made a judgment on this matter last year. The Legislative Council rejected it, and I put it to the government that with the Liberal Party's review of its position on this matter, the parliament is very unlikely to again change its mind and agree to the Labor Party's proposal. And while saying, as we do in the Liberal Party, that we support this bill in general, in this detail, with the matter of Anzac Day, we feel very strongly about it. I certainly do, and we reject it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member.